Chairman, this is brief lang po, no? As I read the affidavit, medyo mabibigat po itong mga accusations that was mentioned by Miss Gloria Jumamil Mercado. But while we are in break, I tried trying to call my mga contacts about this person, si Gloria Jumamil Mercado. If I may be allowed to just establish some qualifications that you have. Just answer us truthfully, Miss Gloria Jumamil Mercado. Ano po ba ang pinagmulan po ninyo? You are in the public service for 40 years. But ano po yung mga foundation that you can relay to this committee as your established personality?
Thank you, Chair, for that question.
Yes, Yusek Mercado, you are recognized.
I was, as I mentioned, I'm already 40 years in government. I was pulled out from my fourth-year college. I was 19 years old when I worked with then Minister Vicente Paterno as Masikap. I think one of the famous Masikap here is also Congressman from Cagayan de Oro. So I started working in Mindanao as a field worker, and I rose the rank up to an assistant secretary on mostly on merit. And then I had my PhD in Mainland China Studies. So when I got back, I was asked by Secretary Bert Gonzales to join him in the National Security Council, and that's where I was totally grounded on social democracy and being able to work well with the countryside and the other sectors.
So in other words, Mr. Chairman, your foundation of your having served for 40 years in the public service is social democrats.
Yes po, sir.
Mr. Chairman, kasi yung pong mga social democrats, yung pong equality, no? Like Sweden, Norway, and the different part of this world adhere to this social democracy, which establish a fairness and equal rights for every citizen of their country. And I heard that, correct me if I'm wrong, Madam Gloria, were you tapped on the Yolanda rehabilitation on the capacity building of the different LGUs by former Senator Ping Lacson?
Yes po, sir.
Bakit po kayo tinap ni Senator Ping Lacson? What is your credibility and your capacity to lead yung sa Yolanda rehabilitation?
I was actually wearing two hats, Mr. Chair. The first one is I was the commander of the Naval Forces Reserve, Eastern Visayas. I'm a commodore po of the Philippine Navy Reserve.
So reservist po kayo ng
Yes
ng
po,
Navy?
sir. Yes, sir. And second is that I was the Senior Vice President and Dean of the Development Academy of the Philippines. And we were asked by Senator Ping Lacson, of then Presidential Advisor for the Yolanda Rehabilitation, to develop a course for the 179 municipalities and towns that were affected by which we call the Yolanda Corridor. So we customized a program for them, and they didn't come up with a thesis. It's a master's degree. What came out, each of the planner will come out with a new town plan that is on a build better framework.
So in other words, Madam Chair, Mr. Chair pala, and Madam Gloria, yung buong trabaho po ninyo para maintindihan po ng in a layman's term, no? Yung naging trabaho nyo as Senior Vice President po ba kayo ng Development Academy of the Philippines?
Yes po.
If I may, no, ito po bang trabaho nyo dito, kung ilalagay po natin para mas maintindihan natin, kayo po yung nagte-train para dun sa mga career executive. Am I correct?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
So in other words, your capacity as one of the pillars of the Development Academy of the Philippines is to give ammunition to those affected doon sa Yolanda strategy. Is
Yes,
that correct?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Were you also a pioneer nung tinatawag nating sa Development Security Program for the Command and General Staff ng College ng Armed Forces of the Philippines.
Yes, Mr.
Were you a part
Chair.
of it?
Kasi as also a reservist po, I realized that yung nag-aaral sa Command and General Staff College, they only get a certificate of a Command and General Staff course. So naisip namin sa DAP is to twin a program. We expanded the training so that pag-graduate nila sa Command and General Staff College, hindi lamang sila certified of the Command and General Staff course, meron din silang Masters in Public Management, Major in Development and Security. Ang tinuturo po namin, Mr. Chair, is for the armed forces to be able to work properly in the ground, especially with the NGOs and the local government units.
Okay. Aside from that, somebody texted me as well. They saw you on the live stream of the House of Representatives, and they're telling me that you are a senior fellow of the Philippine Public Safety College, wherein I'm going to graduate on Friday.
Yes, sir.
Are you a dean of the PPSC?
No, sir. We helped develop the program. So I chaired the advisory committee.
So you created the program that we are that
Yes,
will
yes,
being
sir.
taught to us.
Yes, Mr.
Kasi
Chair.
1 year na po akong nagmamasteral sa
Public
PPSC,
safety.
sa public safety, and I'm quite surprised that you are a former senior fellow of the PPSC. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I was quite surprised to find out that actually, I'm not surprised anymore. A while ago when I was hearing your testimony on your affidavit, medyo nagiging questionable pa sa akin yung mga dineklara nyo dito. But now that I found out all of this qualification that was given to me by my friend who have watched you testifying on this committee, now I must agree that you really have a ball, no? Ano kayo talaga? You were established on your foundation on the true public service that are being given by you. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I will not be furthering my my query anymore because I believe that this person who will be testifying to us have this high credibility. Maraming salamat po, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I will be the next interpellator. Ma'am, kanina po binanggit po ninyo dito na sa inyong affidavit. Ito po ba yung affidavit na binabanggit po ninyo, na pirmado po ninyo? Dated 25th of September 2024?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Ito po yung pirma ninyo na nakalagay po sa taas ng Gloria Humamil Mercado. Pirma po ba ninyo ito?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay. So, alam naman po ninyo. At ito po ay under oath. So,
Yes,
ibig
Mr.
sabihin po nito, at kanina rin po, kayo po ay nag-take ng oath. So, lahat po ng sasabihin ninyo po dito ay dapat pawang katotohanan lamang. Tama po ba?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Kanina po binanggit po ninyo dito na kayo po ay by the way, ano po yung inyong educational background? Pwede po ba malaman namin?
I have a bachelor's in economics and a master's in National Security Administration
National Security
and a
Administration.
PhD po in Chinese Studies.
And PhD.
In Chinese Studies.
Chinese Studies. Okay. Sabi po ninyo dito kanina, sa inyong number 2 affidavit, I was appointed as Deped Undersecretary by President Ferdinand Romualdez as recommended by Vice President Sara Duterte in 2022. Bakit po paano po ninyo nakilala si BP Sara? At bakit kayo po ang napili niya na irekomenda bilang Undersecretary ng Deped?
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Chair. We actually went through a selection process. There was an advertisement by the CES board that the Department of Education is going to recruit undersecretaries, assistant secretaries. So we saw that ad. I was currently working with the Office of the Presidential Advisor for streamlining government processes. And so we applied, we were interviewed, and then we received communication that we passed the interview and the process, the selection process, and that we are to assume at a specific date.
Okay. So, ibig sabihin po, prior to your appointment as Undersecretary, hindi pa po nyo kilala si Vice President Sara Duterte. Tama po ba?
Kilala naman po,
Kilala
Your
na po
Honor,
ninyo.
kasi she studied at the Development Academy of the Philippines where I
Okay.
was the Dean and the Senior Vice President. She was our graduate student.
So, din po kayo sa DAP.
Yes po, sir.
Ano
Your Honor.
pong course ang kung saan po kayo din?
Sir, it's just one.
So yung buong DAP kayo po yung ano?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Development
It's
Academy,
the
tama
Graduate
po ba?
School of Public and Development Management.
Okay. So, dito po ninyo nakilala si VP Sara.
Yes po. Yes, Your Honor. And
Okay.
I was actually her advisor of her thesis for her master's degree.
Okay. So yung recommendation po niya, kayo po ay naging Undersecretary for Human Resources and Organizational Development. Tama po ba?
Yes, yes, Chair.
Okay. So ilan po ba ang USEC ng Deped?
We were 9 po.
Siyam po. Ano-ano po yung mga USEC na to?
USIC for finance, admin,
Finance,
infrastructure.
Admin.
Infrastructure.
Infra?
Huh? Yeah. We were admin, finance, curriculum, human resource and organizational development.
Pakilakasan po,
Human resource and organizational development, operations, planning, procurement, and,
procurement.
the chief of staff.
May USEC for procurement po.
Sir, the USEC for procurement was a product of an organizational review which we did when we came into into Deped.
Okay. So, as USEC for Human Resources and Organizational Development, kayo rin po ay na-designate as head ng procuring entity.
Only in 2023, sir. February 2023.
So, dalawa po yung function ninyo. USEC po kayo ng Human Resources and at the same time, kayo rin po ang head ng procuring entity. Tama po ba?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Bakit hindi po yung USEC for procurement ang head ng procuring entity or ng HOPE? Bakit po yung sa human resources po? Kayo po, yung opisina po ninyo, ang pagkakaalam ko sa human resources, kayo po yung sa mga recruitment ng tao, tama po ba?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Yun po yung trabaho ninyo, tama po ba?
Ang trabaho ko po, Mr. Chair, is human resource. Then I have the National Educators Academy of the Philippines and the Teachers Excellence Council.
Tama po.
There's 1.1
So in short
billion.
po, yung trabaho ninyo has nothing to do with procurement.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, Mr.
So ang
Chair.
tanong ko po, bakit po kayo ang naging head ng procuring entity? Bakit kayo po ang napili?
I think it's a trust.
It's a trust. So, kasi pwede naman yung finance, pwede naman po yung admin, tama po ba? Okay. So, it's a trust. Okay. Thank you po. So, kanina po, binanggit po ninyo dito sa inyong paragraph 3 ng affidavit ninyo, sabi nyo, as one of the signatories of Deped checking account, alongside USEC, Annalyn Sevilla, I signed check related to the department's confidential fund and recall that each one amounted to 37,500,000. So ito pong 37,500,000, ilang beses po kayong nagpirma ng cheque in connection dito sa 37,000, ilang 37,500,000 pong cheque ang napirmahan po ninyo? Habang hope po kayo.
Mr. Chair, I'm not very sure if it's 2 or 3.
Okay.
It should be around that.
2 or 3. So more or less, mga nasa 54 million ang napirmahan po ninyo. Tama po?
Yeah, but separate checks.
Apo, dalawang check na worth 37 times 74. Apo. Now, sabi po ninyo sa paragraph 4, between February 2023 to September 2023, I received a total of 9 envelopes labeled Hope. My current position in Deped during that time.
Concurrent.
Ano po? Tama po ba?
Concurrent position.
Yes.
Your Honor.
So tama po ba itong sinabi ninyo?
Yes,
Okay.
Mr.
Ano po
Chair.
yung laman nitong siyam na envelope na to?
It's 50,000 pesos.
50,000. So 50,000 times 9. So for 9 months, ilang buwan po kayong naging Hope? 9 months?
May I explain that?
Yes, please.
I've been receiving that envelope, but I never opened it while I was at Deped. Some of my friends, when I left, they saw that those envelopes still intact, not opened. So I actually didn't know how much money there was in each of the envelope.
But how did you know na pera po ang
When I
laman nun?
retired already, I was asking for an exit call so I could
You were
return
asking for?
an exit call when I was leaving already Deped because I wanted to return those envelopes,
Okay.
but I wasn't able to have that exit call. I wasn't able to return, but so I sought some advice and they just advised me to donate it to a non-government organization, which I did. And that's the only time that I opened those envelopes in front of the people that I was donating it. And it was 50,000 per envelope.
So 50,000 times 9,
It's 450 po. And
450.
They issued me a receipt for that 450.
Okay. Sino po nag-issue ng receipt?
Yung the one who, it's an
The one
an NGO that I
Okay,
donated
so yung
the money.
pinag-donate po ninyo.
Yes.
Do you have that receipt?
Yes, sir.
Thank
Yes,
you.
Your-
Can we
yes,
have a
Mr.
copy
Chair.
of the receipt,
Yes,
ma'am?
Mr. Chair.
Thank you po. So, buwan-buwan po, nakakatanggap po kayo ng 50,000 at sinasabi po netong si Assistant Secretary Sunshine Fajarda. Sabi po ninyo sa kanya, itong envelope na to ay galing po from the Office of Vice President Sara Duterte o galing kay BP. So, ano po ba ang trabaho nito ni Assistant Secretary Sunshine Fajarda?
She used to be the head executive assistant.
Heya.
And then she became an assistant secretary.
Okay. At ang asawa po niya, sabi po ninyo dito, si Edward Fajarda, siya naman po ang Special Disbursement Officer. Tama po ba?
Yes.
Okay. So, ibig sabihin po, itong mag-asawa po, si Sunshine Fajarda at si Edward Fajarda ay very close po talaga sa Vice President. Tama po ba? Masasabi po ba ninyo na very close sila?
I couldn't say that po.
Pero the fact na si Sunshine Fajarda ay Heya, so siya po yung laging kasama. Tama po ba?
If you're the Heya, you're usually the one who has trust and confidence from the
Yes,
president.
trust and confidence. So ang ano po ba yung mga trabaho kadalasan ng Heya?
It's really doing the
Parang chief of staff din po yan
Yes.
Tama po ba? So pag dumating na si Heya at may sinabi pong instruction sa inyo, parang ang kausap na rin po ninyo yung boss. Tama po ba?
yes,
So,
Mr.
okay.
Chair.
So ito po bang So, tuwing nagpupunta po siya sa inyo, sabi ninyo, 9 months. Sunod-sunod, nagbibigay po siya ng envelope na may laman pong 50,000. Tuwing nagpupunta po siya sa inyo, sinasabi po niya, galing kay VP. Tama po ba?
Kami po yung umaakyat sa
Umakyat kayo.
Office of the Secretary.
Saan po kayo umakyat? Saang office po?
Sa Office of the Secretary. Kasi that's where she holds office.
Sa office ni Assistant Secretary Fajarda?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Chair.
By the way, ito po bang opisina po niya? Gaano po ito kalayo sa opisina ni BP Sara?
The same...
Same office. So, ibig sabihin, isang opisina lang po silang dalawa. Okay. Pero kasi normally po, yung USEC ang nagpapatawag ng ASEC eh. Tama po ba? Tama po ba? Kasi mas mataas po yung USEC kaysa sa ASEC eh. But this time, yung ASEC po ang nagpapatawag sa USEC. Tama po ba?
Yes, Chair.
Okay. So, yun po eh hindi naman normal. Kasi normally talaga, ang boss ng ASEC, yung USEC. Tama po ba? Okay. So, the fact na kayo po ay pinatatawag ng ASEC, ibig sabihin po talaga, talagang very close. At talagang parang very close siya sa secretary. Tama po ba? Parang alter ego po siya. Okay. Pakidescribe nyo nga yung opisina ng Office of the Vice President at saka ito pong opisina ni Assistant Secretary Sunshine Fajarda. Ano po ba yan? Kunyari, halimbawa, ito po, isang opisina to. Meron lang po ba siya doong table o meron din siyang sariling opisina doon?
May sarili siyang...
May sariling opisina. So, para siyang chief of staff doon. Okay. Pero lahat yan under ng Office of the Secretary. Kasi normally po, ang mga may opisina lang po doon, USEC. Tama po ba? Ang mga USEC po, may kanya-kanyang opisina. Tama po ba?
Sa baba po.
Sa baba. Yung mga ASEC po, may mga opisina rin po ba?
Yes,
Saan
yes,
po? Sa baba rin?
Naka-scattered kasi madami.
Naka-scattered. So, ibig sabihin, on top dun sa opisina niya as ASEC, meron din siyang opisina sa loob ng opisina ng secretary as HEA. No po, Chair.
Yun
Wala.
lang yung office niya.
Yun lang ang office niya. So, ibig sabihin
kasama
talaga...
din niya yung USEC, yung Chief of Staff.
Okay.
Ang nag-office doon, Chief of Staff at saka yung ASEC.
Doon sa loob ng opisina ng secretary.
Okay. Yes.
So, yun lang po. Salamat po. Yes, with the indulgence of Congresswoman Luistro, the Chair would like to recognize Congressman J. Konghun.
In connection lang po, ma'am, doon sa tanong ni Chair. Tanong ko lang po, ma'am, nung naramdaman niyo po na may nag-aabot po sa inyo na sobre, buwan-buwan, ano po ang pakiramdam niyo? Bakit hindi niyo po binuksan?
I must admit that I was uncomfortable with those envelopes, but parang ang hirap din kasi I'm not sure if others are receiving. Parang ang hirap din I didn't know if others are receiving. I cannot say. So ang ginawa ko na lang is I had this pouch that iniiwan ko lang sa office. Nilalagay ko lang doon yung mga binibigay sa akin na pera.
Sa pakiramdam po ninyo, para po saan yun?
Ang feeling ko is she has naman resources to give to she has probably personal resources that she can share to her people, and I'm not really, ayoko mag-speculate, but the only thing I could say is I wasn't comfortable with it.
Hindi po ba kayo nagtataka? Kayo po yung head ng HOPE, ng procuring entity, tapos may natatanggap po kayo na buwan ng 50,000?
As I mentioned, it is uncomfortable, and that's precisely the reason why I wasn't opening it at all. I was just putting it in one pouch.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
The Chair
Mr.
would like to
Chair,
recognize Congresswoman Luistro.
thank you. My question is addressed to Ma'am Mercado. Ma'am, do you confirm when you were still in Deped, you were occupying concurrently USEC for HR and Hope.
Yes.
Sabay
Mr.
po yun. When were you appointed as Undersecretary for Human Resources and Organizational Development?
We were all appointed together by the President July, but I only assumed
Can you please state the year?
July 2022 po.
Okay.
But I only assumed office in August 15, 2022 because I was still winding up my work with another office.
So you would agree with me if I say that you were appointed as USEC for HR July 22, but you assumed the position August 15, 2022?
Yes,
With
Mr.
respect
Chair.
to your appointment as head of procuring entity, kailan po kayo na-appoint?
That's February 2023.
February 2023. Let's go back to your appointment as USEC for HR. From August 15, 2022, kayo po ba ay pinaakyat din ni ASEC Sunshine to receive this envelope which you refused to open?
Not on 2020. I don't recall 2022. We have we have gifts on December, but I don't recall a monthly thing before that.
In other words, from August 15, 2022, that is the date of your appointment as USEC for HR, until before February 2023, which is your appointment as head of procuring entity, you are not receiving any envelope from ASEC Sunshine.
No.
And you will confirm that this envelope started only when you were appointed as head of procuring entity.
It's actually not very clear to me anymore, but I recall we also received some amounts in 2022, but it's very vague to me anymore. So, and then I don't have the envelope. So, parang it wasn't.
So how do you receive those amounts which are vague, not regular, if there are no envelopes?
No, I think it's only once. It's like a Christmas bonus. Pero siguro hindi siya naka-envelope kasi I didn't keep it.
Tama po bang sabihin, ma'am, na yun pong regular monthly envelope which you later on found out contains 50,000 per envelope ay nag-umpisa lamang nung kayo na-appoint as head of procuring entity?
I'm still keeping those envelopes, so I would like to say yes.
Yes, because it is very clear from your affidavit, no? This envelope started in February and ended in September of 2023. And earlier you said kayo po'y na-appoint bilang Hope noong February 2023. And prior to that, since your appointment in August 15, 2022, wala kayong nare-recall regular envelope which you were receiving from ASEC Sunshine. Can you please enlighten us? What is with Hope? Bakit dun lang po nag-umpisa itong envelope na ito upon your appointment as head of procuring entity?
It's a very difficult task, especially for someone who has not tried to be one before. Parang it's an area that I really evaded all my entire government life. But I needed, there's just too many already pending procurement at that time. So when I was asked if I could be designated as the Hope, I first referred them to other people who are seasoned in procurement, like sina Yusek Rebsi, but Yusek Rebsi was already too preoccupied with operations. So I finally accepted the position, and it was difficult because I have to study the procurement law, and I was given I had a lawyer and someone who's already a retiree to review the documents. with me when we signed the contracts. And I had commitment from when I accepted the post, I made it a family decision, you know. Like among the execom, I asked our legal before, Yusek Brady and ASIC Amanda Nograles, that everything that I signed has to be thoroughly reviewed by legal. And so I had that commitment of support from everyone in the execom, and so I accepted the post.
In brief, ma'am, can you please enlighten us? Why do you say na mahirap, difficult ang position ng Hope?
Because you have to read through you have to look through all the documents, and it's like
Which documents, ma'am?
everything that goes through the bidding process. I am not part of the bidding process itself, but on the time that I was appointed, I was the one tasked to form the structure of who's chair for BAC 1, BAC 2. So I spoke to all the people which I know I will have comfort to chair specific committees at specific BAC. But the process of bidding, I'm not part of it because you have to maintain you have to make sure that you're not enmeshed with the process itself, but you're just reviewing to make sure that the vice president secretary is protected with everything that I signed because it's a delegated function.
In other words,
she's supposed to be the hope.
In other words, ma'am, you're the person who check all the documents coming from BAC before the vice president signs or approves.
No, I signed because
You sign for the...
I have to sign because I'm the one the hope signs. It's delegated to me already.
And you will agree with me if I would say na you consider it difficult because it concerns matter about procurement and bidding,
Yes.
where there are a lot of issues surrounding, sometimes
And it's just
issues
too
about
many.
bribery and corruption. You agree with me?
yes,
And what do you think is the reason kung bakit yung envelope nag-start lang during your appointment as Hope?
I think
Bakit
it's-
po walang envelope nung HR pa lang kayo? Tapos biglang nagka-envelope nung naging Hope kayo?
I think it's like an allowance maybe for an extra work because sometimes I have to stay until midnight to look at the documents when sometimes I have
If
one.
that is just an allowance, ma'am, then the rest of the officials of the Deped should be receiving also their respective envelopes. Do you think so? Don't you think so, ma'am? If that is just an allowance, then the rest of the officers of Deped should have their own envelopes as well.
Mr. Chair, that's precisely the reason why I did not open any of it. Because
I
that
understand.
was very uncomfortable on my
I understand. And that leads me to the next question, ma'am. Why were you so uncomfortable with the envelope when you believe that that is just an allowance?
part. Because, Ma'am, I'm 40 years, Mr. Chair, I'm 40 years in government. The only time I have an ombudsman case is when I advised my principal not to sign an importation, when I was the deputy cabinet secretary, and I advised my principal not to sign an importation because there was no rice crisis. That's my only ombudsman. I have to protect that name. Self-made po kami. I come from Samar. I was a scholar since I was grade 1 until I took my PhD. So I have all reasons to protect my name, Your Honor. And I'm in the home stretch of my career, and then I'm being thrown into that position, which I have no control because I'm only studying it. So that's my...
Ma'am, I wish to remind you of the terminologies which you mentioned already. With all due respect po sa inyo, no? Because I want to elicit this information from you. Kanina po sabi nyo, the position, the job of Hope is very difficult. Do you confirm?
yes.
Yes. And you did not open the envelope because you feel so uncomfortable. Do you confirm?
Yes.
And then recently you made mention na it was only once that I had this case with the ombudsman. Do you confirm?
Yes, ma'am.
And you also made mention that you wish to protect yourself. Do you confirm?
Yes.
And the
Mr.
reason,
Chair.
ma'am, is because you believe that that envelope is a bribe. Do you agree with me? Because
I'm a-
otherwise, you will not appreciate the job as difficult. You will not uncomfortable opening what you believe is allowance. You will not be thinking about the ombudsman case. You will not be thinking about protecting yourself. The reason why you are considering all these concerns is because you believe that the envelope is a bribe. Do you agree? Yes or no, ma'am?
It's kind of harsh word to use, bribe, because if
Or should I say, it is a means to influence your decision being the hope?
it could be.
You said yes to that? You said it could be.
Could be.
I wish to manifest, Mr. Chair, that on the story, on the narration of the resource speaker about this envelope, she received and she refused to open until the same is donated from February 2023 to September 2023 is a means actually to influence the decision of our resource speaker being the one who approved all the decision of the BAC in behalf of the Deped Secretary. Tama po ba, ma'am?
There was only one instance that I could recall na but there was no one spoke to me about there was an instance where I tried to let a bidding lapse, but I ended up signing it because there was a protest. I'm not comfortable discussing it.
But I wish to state for the record, Mr. Chair, that with the narration of our resource speaker, she earlier manifested that she believes that those envelopes are means to influence her decision as hope. Ma'am, I wish to invite your attention to paragraph 6. You mentioned in this paragraph that a certain attorney Reynold Monsayak suggested in the presence of 3 Deped officials na pag-usapan na lang ang 2022 budget para hindi masayang. However, you firmly asserted that the procurement must be implemented and conducted in strict adherence with the rules. Do you confirm this?
Yes.
Can you please enlighten us? Sino po yung ibang Deped officials present during this incident?
Actually, it was one director and 2 consultants.
Can you please state the names?
The director was Director Resty Osias, and the consultants was Juna Soriano and Ferdinand. Ferdinand. Forgot the family name.
Where did this meeting happen, ma'am? Kanino
was-
pong opisina nangyari to?
It was not in Deped. I was having lunch. There was a training ongoing in one hotel. I don't recall anymore whether it's Linden or Discovery Suites, but it's just in Ortigas area. And I was having lunch with these people, and we were discussing a project. And then that's when I was approached.
Does that project have something to do with the 2022 continuing
no,
fund?
it was different.
It was different.
Yeah.
But that lunch was shared with these 3 other Deped officials along with Attorney Monsayak.
No, Attorney Monsayak was not part of the lunch. I think he probably came out from the training, and then that's when he joined us.
He joined you, and then to whom did he direct what he said na pag-usapan na lang natin yung 2022 para hindi masayang? Kanino po ba niya sinasabi ito? Sa inyo o doon sa tatlong DepEd officials pa?
It could be to me and the director because Director Resty was also a member of the BAC.
How about the two others? Are they members of the
No.
BAC also?
No, they're not because the consultants we were discussing a Deped Guru program. It's an app that we were discussing.
And can you enlighten us? Ano po bang naging reaksyon nung kasama nating director? Her name is Director
Ucias.
Osias.
Well, I think his reaction was that parang ba't niya sinabi yun we're not may other people there.
I see.
Parang ganon.
Because those two other consultants are not part of
Yes.
the BAC.
Yes.
And did she accede to what Attorney Monsayak said?
No. He's a very strict director as far as procurement.
She did
is-
not accede.
He
Did not accede.
Yes.
And kayo po, you asserted that the procurement must be implemented and conducted in accordance with the law. You said that.
Yes po.
And Attorney Monsayak heard that.
Yes po.
And after this incident, ma'am, what happened?
I left na. I left already.
You left. But you recall that after some time, kayo po ay kinausap na ni Miss Sulaika, ni Attorney Lopez, the Chief of Staff of Vice President Sara. Please enlighten us. What happened during that conversation?
Parang a day, mga afternoon, I got a text. When I got the text, it was a familiar text because these were the same texts that is sent to those who are asked to leave as well. So when I saw it, I prepared what I should tell them and tell her. And I prepared that I'm not resigning, but I'm retiring because I'm already at age level where I could retire properly. And so when I went there, I knew what the issue would be because the kind of text that I received was the same text that was received by Chris Arnoco, ASEC Chris Arnoco, and the others.
Who is Chris Arnolfo, ma'am?
He's an ASEC also that was asked to resign.
He was asked to resign for what reason, if you're aware?
No, I'm not aware.
You are not aware.
I just get to know being an HR, and then I was their nanay-nanayan in Deped. So I get to be their sounding board and their apprehensions because they're young people, their career. So yun yung situation. And so when I arrived at the OBP's office in Mandaluyong, sinabi na there's this issue of a teacher that is in my office and some other issues. So kinat ko na lang si Yusek Sulaika, sabi ko, in my 40 years in government, I knew that I work on trust. So if the principal doesn't trust me anymore, then you don't have to find reason for me to go. So I'm ready to resign, to retire. Here are the things that I need to do for retirement. I need to say goodbye properly to the institution that I serve well.
For the record, ma'am, did you resign or did you retire?
I'm being asked to resign. I did not. I retired. I
You
applied
retired.
for retirement.
So when did you retire?
Effective November 1.
So that is 1 month
No.
from the supposed date when
they
you're
don't
supposed to
li-
retire?
They don't like 1 month. I was actually trying to ask for December 30, but they wanted it on that day that they spoke to me.
This is 4th week of October when Attorney
I
Sulhueca
think third.
talked to you.
I'm not very sure anymore.
3rd week of October. They want you to resign on that date?
on that very day.
On that very date. But you said,
I'm not going to resign because I have to honor my 40 years in government, you know. what would I do after resigning?
And how did you feel when on the
Oh.
3rd week of October you're being asked to resign?
I was so devastated because I couldn't find a reason why I will have to go, you know.
What were you thinking during that time? Can you please share with us your thoughts? Ano pong iniisip nyo during the time when, after 40 years of being in Deped, dedicating all your life and career in Deped, suddenly there is Attorney Zulhueca asking you to resign right then and there?
I was very sad. I spoke to, but it wasn't a surprise, Mr. Chair, because there were 6 people before me that went through that process. So I wasn't surprised. So what I did the night before when I got the text, I already prepared myself. But I'm human and I worked very well for the past year. So I was really very devastated with what they did to me. And that's also the reason why I refused to initially to face this panel, because I said I'm so wounded as a bureaucrat. So baka So I just didn't. Siguro what was hurting is that when I left, they were trying to. Marami kasing press that was running after me and asking why I left. So my children and I flew to Guam for 3 days just to evade the press, which nandun na rin sila sa gate namin sa village. And I think what was hurting is that they were trying to justify my departure by saying that I was favoring certain suppliers, which I told
You don't believe that.
I told my kids.
You reject that.
I told my kids I left Deped with my pride intact and with integrity because I have not favored any. I don't even speak to suppliers. If there are petitions or things that has to be settled at Hope level, I go at the middle of Deped where it's seen by everyone, and that's where I speak to the suppliers.
Last question, ma'am. Sasang-ayon po ba kayo if I would say na yung pagtanggi nyo kay Attorney Reynald Monsayak na pag-usapan na lang yung 2022 continuing fund ang dahilan kung bakit kayo pinagre-resign ni Attorney Zulhueca?
That's very speculative, ma'am.
From your point of view, ma'am, it can be right, it can be wrong, but from your point of view,
It could be.
it could be the reason. Dahil tumanggi kayo na pag-usapan ang 2022 Continuing Fund, posible na ito ang dahilan kung bakit kayo pinag-resign ni Attorney Zulhueca. Thank you, ma'am. I submit, Mr.